Okay folks, today we have sort of a surprise aquarium. This showed up for me. It's the new Fluval Spec 16 gallon. It may look a little bit familiar to you if you're familiar with Fluval's other products, but we're going to talk all about that in just a minute. Stick around. Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec, and today I'm going to unbox the new Fluval Spec. Now, you may recognize this tank. It's an awful lot like Kerrigan's saltwater tank. In fact, as close as I can tell, the only difference is it has a freshwater light. This is really cool though, because even as I was opening up Kerrigan's tank, I was thinking to myself, man, I wish this was a freshwater. I wish, and that was the only thing that you really needed to change was the light to make this a freshwater tank. And I came this close to buying one and just doing it myself. But now I don't have to. Here we have the new Fluval Spec. I've had every version of the Fluval Spec, and it's funny how a brand name will kind of evolve. The first one was a little 2-gallon tank, and then they made like a 2.5-gallon tank, just a slightly bigger version, and then of course the 5-gallon tanks. Then of course they had the Edge and the Flex and all those things came along too. But I can definitely go along with them grabbing that Fluval Spec name because it works exactly the same as those small Fluval Specs do. So it's got a really easy to use built-in filter that you can modify in any number of ways. It's got this touch LED light. Now, of course, this won't, unlike the last light that I just reviewed last week, this isn't programmable in any way, but you can switch it from blue to daylight if you want. It's got this kind of button that you can barely see. You just kind of rub your finger over the top of it and it'll change colors. But it also works just fine on a timer. You can put these on a timer with the white lights on, and they'll come on when you want. Another thing I like about these is they have a lid. This one's lid is even more enclosed, more in line with like what the Flex was like. In fact, the filter system on this and the Flex are exactly the same. They have the same pump. They have the same sponge mounted filtration in the back. As we take a look here at the box, you see that it's got a 7000K LED. It is 21.8 inches across. And that's 55.5 centimeters, 17.5 inches or 45 centimeters tall, and 11.5 or 29 centimeters deep, here to here. It's a 16-gallon tank or 60 liters. The back of the packaging is pretty interesting. It shows you that you can put a heater here above the pump. It shows you a little bit of what the filter looks like, and it recommends some different kinds of fish at the bottom. It says spec-friendly species, dwarf grammies, swordtails, platies, and rasboras of certain types. That all seems pretty good too. It's got a bunch of stuff about how great their light is. Experience the brilliance. What's funny is the early spec lights, I had a problem with at least 2 or 3 of the earlier ones, like the little 2-gallon lights. Almost none of them lasted very long. The first 5-gallon light that came out, it actually still works and it's still going, but I'd have to kind of jiggle the wire. That's probably just me kinking up the wire. But the new Fluval Spec lights, like especially the 5-gallon light that I've got going right now, I love it. They really came a long way in their journey up through those different models and stuff. The light that Kerrigan's got is really good. I'm anxious to see how this one is. I imagine it's just different LEDs than the other one. Probably everything else is the exact same, so I'm anticipating it being a pretty decent light for plants. Of course, the proof is always in the pudding, you know. This definitely has a much larger light than the Flex does. It doesn't have the features and stuff, but if it'll grow plants, that's really the only feature I'm interested in. On this last panel of the box, it's got experience the convenience. Now, just like Kerrigan's tank, this has got a nice little feeding hole right here. It's got a lid that's here, but also a lid on the back that you can pull off separately and do filter maintenance. It's got the multi-directional nozzle. It's got the little twin heads, so you can really control where the flow is going in your tank. And of course, it's got this honeycomb material across the top and on the back. And that is mainly to camouflage the water line and also the filter stuff in the back. Some people like that, some people don't. It doesn't bother me at all. I've definitely heard people complain about it, but then again, what don't people complain about? So I guess the first step to figuring out where the hell in my house I'm going to put this is to get it out of the box. And I don't want to waste a bunch of time, so why don't we do a mega unboxing? Are you ready? Mega! Hey, look at that. What a nice tank. I really like the shape of this. I like that this is offset. It just makes it kind of interesting, almost like it's floating, like sort of a zero edge thing below. This rail does go all the way to the back, so you have to count the distance from about, I don't know, I'd say maybe 2 inches in to all the way to the back, as far as a platform that you need to put it on. This can overhang a little bit, which could give you some other options. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace what I've been calling my crime scene tank. Setup for these things is really easy, and let me show you real quick. Okay, so as we gaze here at the back of this thing, you can really see how the filter works. Right here at the top and the bottom are where the water comes in from the aquarium, and you can put all kinds of different things in here to kind of help yourself out. Lots of options for filter stuff in there. Right here you've got this sponge, which will hold some chemical filtration like carbon, which is what that is, and some biological stuff if you want to put some ceramic material in there. And it's got kind of a gap at the bottom for still more things that you might want to add. The water then kind of goes up through here, and this is where you'd put the pump to return the water back into here. You can also include a heater in here. There's plenty of room for that too. And yeah, that's the filter system. Let's go ahead and install the pump. Alright, so here's the pump that it comes with. It is just like the one in the Fluval Flex and of course the Evo. One nice thing about this tank is that it's got this separate lid just for the filter stuff. So if all you need to do is a little filter maintenance, or you need to get in here to take care of something, you don't have to pull the whole lid off. This right here is the power cord for the light. On the back of this thing you'll see a number of different punch outs. This punch out here I'm pretty certain is actually meant for the little Fluval protein skimmer, which you probably won't need in a freshwater tank. It's also got punch outs on the side here and two right there. And this is just for you to decide where you want your cords to run. For instance, if I put this tank up with this facing the wall or something, just kind of block off the back part, the part that you don't want to look through, then I might want to punch this out and bring the cords all out over here behind the tank, which is probably what I'll do. But we're going to take care of that later. There's no real install to do with the light. This is the light that it comes with. I don't know if you can really tell, but this is heavy. This is a really sturdy light. It's got a nice aluminum frame, which is going to be a good heat sink to keep these LEDs nice and cool. This is embedded in some silicone or some sort of gelatin-like stuff that no doubt will keep this safe from humidity and stuff like that. So the water that evaporates up here is not going to mess these lights up. We hope. I'm sure that's what that's meant for though. Kerrigan's has been great, so I'm anticipating good things. Cord slips right through a hole here at the top, and then it fits right into the frame, real snug. Alright, as I reach in here I've got this part, which is going to send the water back into the aquarium. And I've got a rubber hose, which will fit on the pump and then connect to this part here. Now the way this works basically is this unscrews like so. Right, but probably the first thing we'll do is we're going to get this hose. A neat trick that I'm not doing right now is to heat the hose up a little bit, like with some warm water, not very long or it'll get too mushy. But you can heat this hose up with some warm water, and then this goes on much easier, but this is actually pretty easy too. Just apply a little bit of pressure, and just twisted that on so it's nice and snug. I'm going to do the same thing on the pump side. Kind of twist this around a little bit. That goes right on. This does come off, and you can clean this little, there's a little sponge there that keeps the stuff from the gook from getting in there in the impeller, but this will come all apart if you decide to clean it. All right, so I'm going to stick it in like so. It does have suction cups at the bottom. I can't get my arm in there, so what I usually do is I'll take a net and just kind of press it down. I'm going to leave it for now though. Now that we have this inside, we can just kind of take this right over there. This part will then screw into it. You just let that tighten down a little bit. Then you can adjust these to have your water flow go whichever way you want. I like to have one kind of skim the surface a little bit, and another one to kind of head down into the other corner of the tank, so that I get this kind of nice mixture of the water. Now, of course, if you want, you can stick a heater down the side here and then run the cords out just like you do the other cords. If it's a new tank or you've got a lot of particulates or debris in the water, you can stick some filter floss or other things in here and just kind of keep it separate. Stuff that you might want to replace a little bit more often, you can keep it separate from the rest of your filter business in here. Filter floss is what I typically keep in my flex right here, and it really cleans up the water, makes it nice and clear in there. It also came with these little things. And if you flip this up on its side, you'll see that there are these little holes. And this basically goes in here, kind of make this a little less severe on whatever furniture you put this on. It has about 6 of these, which should be enough to protect it. As I was saying, this aquarium has a little touch-sensitive light. It's not an actual button. You just kind of barely touch it with your finger. And it looks like it'll cycle through 3 modes. One that is all white, then white and blue, which kind of purples up the color a little bit, and then all blue, as if you wanted a night light or something like that, and then back to off. It looks pretty bright in there. It's not super bright. I've definitely seen brighter lights in the tank, but it looks like it'd be pretty adequate, especially for the type of plants that I typically grow, those kind of medium to low light plants. It's actually a little hard to tell. It's about noon here, so it's kind of bright around inside the house and stuff. But I am really excited to kind of get this implemented somewhere. That's going to be for a future video. I kind of want to take my time with it. I will be breaking a tank down to put this up, and I think it's going to be the crime scene tank, because it's looking pretty bad. Of course, along with this happening, I've got a bunch of other tanks that I'm going to be rescaping upstairs. I'm going to be completely redoing most of my nano tanks, I think, this year, so this will be a good way to kind of kick things off. Oh, I'm dying to just dig right into this and get it implemented someplace, but there's no time. And I'm about to go on vacation soon, so this project will probably have to wait at least a week or 2. But I guess that gives us something to look forward to in the near future. So until next time, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.